Welcome back, guys, to the fourth tutorial in this series. I think it's fourth, and we're continuing now with the camera follow. And as I stated in the previous videos, this will be super easy to do, but we're gonna mimic the way that it's done here in Link's Awakening, like we've been doing for all the other features. So as we play, we can see that it does follow the character as the character go up and down and left and right. But one thing to note is that it stays still when he is inside of a building. So you see that it just kind of stays still as he walks around. So when he's in the outer environment, it follows him just up and down, left and right. And because of that, it's super easy to do. It's not a 3D camera in a sense. It's not a first person or anything like that. It's basically a 2D type of camera. But I can definitely see a lot of smoothing to it. So it's not quick and snappy. It definitely has a little bit of smoothing to it. So when he starts to walk, the camera doesn't immediately start to move. It's hard to see it, but there is a lot of smoothing to make the camera nice and smooth. So looking good. Let's do it. It's only gonna take a few seconds. I'm gonna show you the quick and easy way to do it, but not necessarily the right way to do it. And join with me today is
me. Hello, I exist.
No other than him. That exists. He exists.
I exist. I'm so great.
So, Noah is with us today.
Hello, I'm with you guys.
Mr. Noah Slayton. All right. So for our little camera follow, we're gonna go ahead and just create a nice little C# script here for our camera. I just call it camera. You know what? That's actually a terrible name because I believe that is taken by the actual component that's on this that makes it a camera. So that you don't actually want to use that name and delete it. Trust me. These are things not to do. So cam follow is what I'm gonna rename it to, and I'm gonna go to the main camera and just drop.
Ooh, you should have named it Stalker. Sorry.
Stalker. I mean, kinda is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Kinda is it. So right now, if I just hit the game play, we can see I can move forward, up and down. So the movement is all great, but the camera doesn't follow. So the good thing is that I've already set the camera up into a spot where it's already pretty much aligned with the player. So the left and right of the camera is 0, so like exactly center in the X axis of the three-dimensional world, and then the player is already at that same as 0, so he's exactly in the center. So from this point I can just tell the camera to follow him. What you don't want to do is be lazy and try to just parent the camera to the player. While this can sometimes work, you're gonna have some weird effects happening here. Okay, so don't do that. Because of how we have the controller set up, we have to use a script to make this happen. So let's dive into the script. That's the sound you make when you dive. Unless you're diving into lava, then you go ah. Never mind. Alright, the first thing we need is reference variables, my friend. To make the script do things, you gotta remember that the computer can be quite dumb. That's the best way I can say it. Computer can be quite dumb, so you have to give it all the instructions. If you say jump, you got to tell it, hey, come back down afterwards. Or don't allow me to jump while I'm mid-air. So there's all that instructions, all that small details you got to remember to give it. So in this case, I can't just say follow player. I have to tell it what player is. And so we're going to start off with a reference to the player. Normally I would say public here and kind of like drag and drop, but if you remember from the first video, we want to keep things private because this is a game that will actually be published. Like at some point in maybe the next year, you will be seeing this game online or on your Nintendo Switch or something. So I will go ahead and use all the best coding practice because this is already private without putting, if you don't put public, it's private. I'm simply just gonna say transform and I'll just call it underscore player. So transform here is gonna hold the position of the player that I'm going to follow. When the game starts, however, I will tell it what the underscore player is. So the underscore player is a game object and that you can find with a certain tag, and that tag will be player. Once you find that game object, look at the transform, and that is what this underscore player variable, that is a transform, that is what this is. So going forward, I want to say this is the easy way to do this, but not necessarily the best way, and I'll show you right now. We will create an offset, but first of all, in the update, I'm simply just going to say transform dot position, which is like camera your position. I want it to equal to the underscore player position. All right, so this is the wrong way, the fast and easy way, but still the wrong way. It's going to work, but here you're still going to need to fix it because you're telling the camera, hey, I want your position to be exactly the player's position. So you can already see what's going to happen. The camera is going to immediately jump to exactly where the player is. See, so the camera is gone right exactly where the player is. And as we move the player, the camera does move. Right? The camera does move. So there's your basic camera follow. What you would do to this next is to actually add what we call an offset. So I'm going to make this public, and it's going to be an XYZ coordinate. So we put a vector 3, and we'll call it offset. And so we say, okay, camera, go ahead and follow the player's position exactly, and also add a certain amount more to the X, Y, and Z.
7.83y.
Right, so that it will be like an offset. So I made this public, and this is the easiest way to tell like exactly what values you want. You can click on the camera, you can see that the X, Y, and Z offset is there. Press play, and you're inside exactly where the player is. So maybe you want to back up a little bit like so. Maybe you want to go a little bit higher. You just kind of like drag this. You don't want to touch the Y because that would be your left and right. So maybe you want to a little bit more, like so, and maybe a little higher. Right, back to that view that I like. And I kind of like want to just kind of like straighten out. You can see how it's very almost close to what the camera was before it moved. So keep that in mind. So like before you hit move here, see these values are almost exactly what you would just copy and paste here. While this is true, see, kind of looks the same. I like to just kind of adjust stuff manually here because maybe you find something that looks better. At this point though, with that offset, we get that same camera follow that we wanted, just like so, right? And if you're satisfied with this, then you're done. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe, and let's go. You're done, right? But if you have the eye for the small little detail, you want that little smoothness, because I do see a little bit of smoothness happening here with the camera. It feels really smooth to follow. Then continue watching this.
A little different too.
The
a little bit more jerky. weirdly enough.
That's just the animation. He actually adds an animation that makes him wobble as he moves. This guy's walk animation is different, but I'm not sure if you already knew, Noah. This character is just to make things work.
Oh, okay.
I like to say, let's make things work before we make them look good. We're not even going to use this guy. We're going to have our custom animations with custom characters. And actually going to have a video with the brains and the developer behind all of this. We're going to have another video. Probably the next video after this, we're going to have, I'm going to meet with him and he's going to kind of just share the artwork and stuff like that.
Okay.
So this is so that I have something other than just a little capsule moving around.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's really weird.
Right. So just to make all the functionality work.
It's just a little visual representation.
Yes. So for you guys out there, that is it. So offset time, smoothing time. To do this, everything that we have set up works so far, and you can be done, and that's awesome. But it's I have a little bit more to make it smooth because I'm OCD in that way. I want it to be perfect. So the next step is I'm going to make a float, and I'm going to call it smooth speed. Okay, 1 second here. Sorry about that. I had a phone call. All right, and we're back to recording. Yeah, so we add a smooth speed here. It's probably going to be a really low number, so I might just throw something in here anyways, even though it's going to be in the inspector where you can edit. Maybe like a point 1, 2, you know, so something small. Next, we will say that instead of quickly sending the camera to this desired position, we're actually going to create, let's remove this, create a vector 3, and this is our desired, I just call it the desired position. Why not? So this is our desired position, which is following the player with the offsets. That's our desired position, but we want to smooth into it. So then I'll create now a vector 3, and this, I'll just say this is our smooth position, right? Our smooth position equal, and then we have something called a lerp, where you can tell a vector 3 to lerp to another location. Basically, as the IntelliSense hints here, you can go from point A to point B over a course of a time, and that time would be represented by a float. So we can say, okay, I want us to move from where the camera currently is, so transform dot position, where we currently are, to that desired position over the course of our smooth time, which we create up here, smooth speed actually. So now that we have this, which is basically the smooth position, all we have to do now is what we did before, transform dot position, and just quickly set it to smooth position. So all the calculations are made prior, and then quickly just assign. Okay? So hopefully that wasn't too complicated. This was what we had right here to just say follow the player with the offset. But now we set the offset in its own little variable. And that's technically where we're still going. And then we simply use a vector 3 lerp to say, hey, let's transition to that position that we want to get to over the course of a time. And then ultimately with that information, we simply just assign it to the player's position. So hopefully it wasn't too confusing there. Let's test it out, see how it goes, and see if you can see what I'm talking about. I'll turn up the number and crank it up so you can really see what I mean by this desired position. So I made it public, right? Yes. So it should be right here, point 12. Let me make it super, super low. Okay, so if I go really slow, really, really low. Yes. There we go. So you can see how he can almost get to the edge of the screen before it follows him. See what I mean? It's that smoothness that I'm talking about. So a little bit too low for sure. So maybe like I had at 0.05. And there's definitely a smoothness. Like it might be hard to see, but I feel better as a person now that I have this. And if I wanted it to actually be as dramatic as it was before, we can then go maybe a little bit lower, like 0.02 instead of a 5. This is yeah, I actually like this more. Or we go super dramatic where it goes 0.00 and then another value so that it has that delay, whereas you stop, the camera then catches up to you like a couple of milliseconds later. It's not bad, really.
Looks nice to me.
Yeah.
I have to go now, though.
Yes, we all have to go now. Thank you all for checking this out. Thanks to Noah for hosting this one with me. Anything else, Noah?
No, but it was fun to be able to watch you code. That was nice.
Thank you so much. Hope everyone else enjoy it. And I'll catch you in the next one.